And good evening, everybody. Welcome to UCY.TV. What
Hey,
matters?
now are you there?
All right, we got you. You fell off, and yeah, great to have you. This is PM Beers joining me tonight, and we're talking about Bundy and the border and what's the difference. So we're going to revisit our visit to the Bundy Ranch and the Battle of Bunkerville last April. And also discuss border issues, including your experience in Murrieta. Pretty much a lot of stuff going on here, and a lot of different opinions about what it all means. So let's go right on into your experience down there and your firsthand observations of what happened, and then of course there's an incident where somebody assaulted you, and I believe you were arrested too, huh?
I wasn't arrested, but I thought I was gonna be.
Wow. Well,
go ahead.
So basically, we're going to migrate to the immigration issue. I find that the difference now between Bunkerville and now is we see a rift between the patriot and the protester. And it's a pretty ugly picture, really, of the left-right paradigm and the same old of divide and conquer. But let's give credit to the apostles of Bernays and Nietzsche and those others, the prophets, for their God bureaucracy. In the meantime, we really got to realize this is not much more than the Kansas City Shuffle. You know, looking left and what's going right. So I think. Well, let me read this here. This is from Alan Watt. It's he says, "Who gave us the term conspiracy theorist? The government gave it to us, or better yet, somebody's got a player going.
Oh, I turned it on.
Oh, okay. So the government, or better yet, the bureaucracy, this God that they seem to worship, that they want to impose, unjust laws and codes and all that on people. So anyways, now people are joining groups. They look for groups. They want to join groups, something to join in. What type of conspiracy theorist group do they want to join? There's nothing that comes out of the people from the grassroots ever, he says. It's all given to you, and you simply are given a choice between A, B, C, or even D. Whatever you do or copy to belong means that someone has designed this for you. The last ones to think that they're being manipulated are the ones who copy. You know why they copy. They copy so that they can belong. They're the same people who talk about being one. I think pretty much you'd agree that most movements, they get people in there, agitators or people to co-opt the movement and move it in another direction, take control. You see it time and time again. And so when we're seeing what we're seeing going down here on the border, there's something that got to be behind it that's they're not wanting us to see. So what would you tell us then about that and your experiences down there?
Well, as far as like COINTELPRO and agent provocateurs, I think that happens in any group that's subversive and going against the government. I think that's just something to be expected, so you really have to check your own behavior. And when other people are trying to influence you, you really have to check yourself. And that's one reason why facts and evidence are so very important, because there was someone down there in Murrieta who's telling false stories and not providing any evidence. And I'm telling the opposite story, and I'm providing you with evidence. So let me tell you what happened in Murrieta. On July 4th, I went down there with two friends, and so we were at the Border Patrol station on Madison, and I was on the first side. I was on with most of the protesters. I'm calling like side A, and the police were there keeping there was two simultaneous protesters. There were the pro border people, and there were the pro immigrant refugee the people there who were there to welcome the children. So there was one group there that was there to block the children and scare the children. I don't know if it was their intention to scare the children, but I'm sure the children are terrified. And then the other group that was there to welcome them and help them out. But the police had yellow tape down the middle of the road, and there was both sides were taped off, and the police were in the middle. There was like a 3-foot section in the middle where the police were. And the police were really on it. I don't know if this is good or bad, but they were watching very carefully on side A and keeping the different sides separated. And I don't know if I agree with that or not, because I think that people have a right to put their body in any public space if they want to, as long as they're not getting violent. So I think it's and I did see one person from one pro-immigrant person went over to the pro-borders side, and he became surrounded by people. And this was earlier in the day, and he was surrounded by people, and then he was just standing there. And then I do have it on my live stream footage where one man yelled to the police, "Get him out of here, they're going to kick his ass." So basically, this man is saying to the cops that his people are capable of violence. So that really scared me to know that this guy could have gotten hurt. And then a bunch of police swarmed in there, and they took him out of there. And then later in the day, like around 3 o'clock, someone offered me a ride to the other side, which I'm calling side B, which I didn't really know what to expect or what was over there. I had no idea, but I just wanted to go and look and see. And then I got there, and then some friends of a friend of mine were gathering there, and they were waiting for a friend. And I know that I felt nervous to go over to where the protest was, and then the friends of my friend felt nervous to go over there because on side B, it was only pro-border people. So you can imagine like how scary if you kind of have a different perspective to go into that after seeing like people almost get violent on side A. So I was over there. Basically, I wanted to do my job as a journalist, but so I did go ahead and wait until those people's other friends came so that they could all go as a group, and I walked behind them. I guess the pro-border people assumed that I was part of that group, which I actually wasn't, because I'm not like friends with some of those people. So they just made these assumptions, and they also assumed that I had a side, which actually I had not. I wasn't carrying any protest sign, and I wasn't taking any position. I was just filming. But I was over there, and there was one of the pro-refugee people came over to where the pro-border people were, and she was trying to have some discussions, and there was one particular woman, and I found out later her name was Kathleen Hernandez, and she had said to me at one point, she said, "If you keep filming me, I'm going to sue you." And me, knowing my legal rights, told her, "Okay, you're welcome to sue me." And then a little while later, she was yelling at the pro-refugee. There was a young woman, probably early 20s. She was a pro-refugee person, and Kathleen Hernandez was sitting in a chair the whole time with an umbrella over her, and a man leaned over and spoke with her, and as soon as he was done talking to her, Kathleen Hernandez said to the young woman, she said, "I'm not going to let you push me around," and she got up off of her chair, and she started moving in an aggressive manner towards the young woman, and it appeared to me like Kathleen Hernandez was going to go kick that girl's ass, and I was really concerned about that, and she was yelling to the young woman, "Get out of here," and then she yelled, "You too," like right when she hit my arm, and I was really kind of just in shock, like, did someone really just hit me? I mean, I couldn't believe that really happened. And then some man came running towards me with his hands out, trying to, like, I thought he was going to grab my phone. He's like, because I said there's video, and he's like, show me the video, and like that really scared me that like some man is running up to me trying to grab my phone. And then a moment later, one cop escorted Kathleen Hernandez away from the protest very gently. He had his hand on the top of her back and was just very gently escorting her away. This is the woman who just assaulted me. And then the young woman who was from the pro-refugee side, suddenly another cop just grabbed her violently. And then I don't know what happened next because I was really distracted by everything that was going around, like, closer to me. But just, like, the whole place just broke out in total chaos. And there was, like, so much yelling and screaming and, like, cops, and it was crazy. And I don't even know what happened because after that, like, the cops were now distracted. And as soon as the cops were distracted, the people waving the flags came after me. And they were crowding on me and, like, telling me, get out of here. And, like, I wasn't going to move because somebody told me to move. Because I have the same constitutional rights as they do to stand in a public place. And it's kind of a parallel between me standing there and them trying to push me out. And this whole border immigration issue of whose land does this belong to? And it's like these people had this entitlement to that corner, to that little, like, piece of public property that they felt entitled, like, they could tell me that I didn't have the same right that they did to be there. And it's just, like, the same, you know, where you know, people are like, oh, well, I own this land. I own this USA. This USA is mine. And I am entitled to it, and these other people who have needs are not entitled to it. And it's just like, it's a really interesting parallel. But anyway, back to what happened in Murrieta. These people, like, one woman pushed me. She had, like, a book or something in her hand. She was pushing me with it. And then there was another man with a flag on a flagpole. And he, like, held it over my head and made gestures over my head, like as if he was going to beat me with the flagpole. It was absolutely terrifying. And then at some point, a cop pulled me aside and spoke with me and asked him if I was being detained. And he said, yeah, I'm being detained. And a moment later, he told me I was free to go. And then, I don't know, the crowd was just still, like, yelling and screaming for me to leave. And then I'm trying to film the police, because I realized that police brutality is happening with the group of the pro-refugee group is being brutalized by the police. And I'm trying to film that. And I'm just down in there trying to film it, and people are coming up to me and, like, telling me, like, to get out of there. I'm not welcome there. When, like, they don't even know who I am or what I'm doing there. They're making all these assumptions about me, and that's really scary to me. That with them not having facts about who I am, why are they trying to get me away from there? That was really concerning. And then so I was filming, and suddenly, like, they're like, get her! She's the one! She started it! And then two cops grabbed me, and one of them took my arm and twisted it behind my back, and they escorted me down the street. And then, so when they started walking with me, I just walk with them. I'm not gonna have a resisting arrest charge put against me. I'm just going to cooperate with them. And the cop, and I realized I was still streaming, so I said to the live stream, tweet this out, I'm in police custody. I don't know what else I said, something else, it's on the video. But, and then the cop on my left yanked my phone out of my hand and broke my USB cord, and then the other cop had my arm twisted behind my back, which really scared me, because he could have really hurt me with my arm in that position. And then the cop on my right, more than twice, said, "Stop resisting." And I very calmly said, "I'm not resisting. You're just saying that because you have your audio recording device." And then they took me between two SUVs, which really, really scared me because nobody could see. So they could have done anything to me. They could have beat me up and nobody would know. and they put me between the two SUVs, and they were patting me down. And then at one point, like, two people with cameras came, and I thanked them profusely and begged them to keep filming. And they didn't. They just got their quick shot, and I put it on MSNBC or whatever. And a few minutes later, they realized that I was the one who got hit, so they let me go. Well, that was really, really, really scary. But what ended up happening is that 5 people got arrested. And I found out yesterday at another place, I found out yesterday that some of the people who got arrested weren't even involved in whatever had happened that led to the arrests. And they were just kind of randomly arresting people. But basically there's a narrative in the right-wing media right now that a 70-year-old woman was attacked by anarchists. And that is just the opposite of the truth. And this woman does not look like she's 70 years old. She looks like she's like maybe 50. I don't know. If she's 70, damn, she looks good. But anyway, you really need to ask for evidence. If you see a news story and they say this is what happened, where are the witnesses? Where are the videos? That's just one reason why live stream is so important. You can't edit live stream.
Awesome. Now, let me ask you, what kind of media was there? And is this that's about the same time then of the buses, that they were stopping?
Okay, so I think this might have been 3 days or a week after the buses were... It was probably 3 days after the buses were stopped. This was July 4th, the day that I was, like, attacked by a mob of people. But there was a lot of media. There was probably more media trucks there. I've never seen so many media trucks except for after the Bundy racist statement, but I think there are even more.
Wow.
Than that. Yeah, because I've been to a lot of protests, and I've never seen that much media. It was crazy. Wow. But there wasn't, when on side B where I was, there wasn't a lot of media there. But apparently someone connected to MSNBC was there because I ended up on that channel.
Yeah, it looks like it's probably slanted again. It seems like the mainstream media has always got their slant. What about anybody from the alternative media? Were there others there with you as well?
Okay, well, I don't know if I would call this alternative media, but Pete Santilli of Guerrilla Media was there, and he's the person who's spreading the story all over right-wing websites that the 70-year-old woman.
Why am I not surprised? Let's back up, because you and I had a little small conversation here the other day. Let's go back to the Bundy Ranch. When the media showed up that you was talking about just a while ago, after the supposed racist remarks from Bundy, I think it's just, and I said on interview to Channel 3, I think it's just, the language of the day that he was using. He's just an old country boy. And, whether that be bigoted or not, I would argue that it would be, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's malice. Now, on the other hand, when Antonio from Channel 3 was asking Mr. Bundy some questions, he was attacked then verbally by Santilli, screaming, you don't have the right to, free press and this and that. And then there was the other guy, and I watched him move. Louis.
Everybody has the same rights.
Everybody, yeah, right? That's ridiculous. Now, this guy, Louis Prepper, he calls himself Louis Arthur, and I heard from some people there that he had several other aliases, but his actions and Santilli's, just to me, they say that these guys are, trying to provoke stuff, whether it be for sensationalism or if they're, have some other agenda.
Well, I would say that Pete Santilli's current story about a 70-year-old woman being pushed by anarchists is purely sensational, because that didn't even happen.
Well, I just think that, there's a lot of stuff going on inside, and people come in there. At the Bundy Ranch, there was a big rift. Now, this guy, Louis Prepper, I want to say about him because, he'd come by my camp, and I spent a lot of time out there. And there was a youngster there, an Anon kid. Anyways, old boy come by and smoked a joint with us, right? And then I had left and gone into Vegas, and he comes back, and he's like, some guy's on meth, and then he's trying to blame this kid there. Slams him on the ground, and you got to get out of here, and he's the one who caused some problems, I guess, with Jerry DeLemus and then the Oath Keepers, and about the time the drone strike was coming, rumors.
Oh God, yeah, I was there.
So people were obviously wanting to cause trouble for whatever reason that may be. So I think the whole issue now. Think of the children, right? Okay, I don't know who's sending these kids what purpose. There's somebody, or even more that are, got their own agenda going. So, right, well, everybody's down there. You can't stretch across the whole border. So, I mean, what are these militia? What do they hope to accomplish? To hold like one pass or something like that?
I am really, really pissed off. Okay, because one of the militia guys, who's a friend of mine, basically said, he told me right at the time of Bundy Ranch, hey, we're going to go down to Texas and we're going to secure the border. And he told me it's not about immigration. He said they're not going to stop anyone from immigrating. But he told me they're going to go down there and stop the drugs and terrorists. And now there's this call for the militia to go down there, right? And I actually, I went on his Facebook page. His name is Brandon Rapola. I think he's awesome. I don't agree with this particular issue on him but so I went to his Facebook page and I commented on one of his posts and I said, if militias go down there right now at the time when this crisis with these children is happening, it's going to look like you're going down there with guns to face off with children, and that's just really disgusting.
Is that the same guy that that escorted me and you over to the command center at the militia?
I don't know about that. Escorted what?
Remember when we rode in the truck over there?
Oh yeah, he's the one who drove me over there. Yeah.
Yeah, you and I were together. That's the same guy, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah,
he was.
He did a lot of good. He did a lot of good media work for Bundy Ranch. He would take videos and put them on his Facebook, and I would refer like all of my friends to go and look at Brandon Rapola's Facebook, because Brandon Rapola is like somebody who's there every day. Well, he's not there anymore, but he was there every day, and he was telling the truth. And I just though I disagree with him on some topics, I believe as a human being, he's a very ethical person, and he tells the truth. And, we don't agree on this border thing.
I find myself at odds with, or let me say, I can't totally agree with anybody fully. It seems that we all have our different perspectives and stuff, and these guys going to the border, there's a need or a perceived need, and people are frustrated. It's like when everybody came showed up in mass numbers to Bunkerville and, stood the ground. People are frustrated and feel like, obviously the government is out of bounds and need to, be held accountable, and for somebody to be able to stand in the gap, It was a pretty scary situation there, and now the situation has gone from like resisting the tyranny of the government to going in and almost being the enforcers for the government that is obviously got other plans.
Funny.
Isn't it?
It sounds really funny, like, the government, and a lot of these people are against that the government's letting these people through, but you're going to go and do the job for them.
My point
really
is,
funny.
Yeah, I agree. My stance on this, or my view, is that what is America? What is the definition of America? is it the definition of Americans. The government is not America, and it's been hijacked. You know what America is now something dirty to many people around the world.
Whatever they taught us in third grade, it doesn't exist right now.
Right? Yeah, it's the corporatocracy, and so whatever they're doing is not for the benefit of anybody. But you know, America is supposed to stand for freedom and liberty and protecting the little person. And you know how many people were these children not made the scapegoats? You know, people would be lined up to take them in and adopt them. It's a human nature.
Here's the thing. In the city of Marietta, right now, there are 11 organizations, and they are fully prepared to take in 600 children. And people are coming and they're donating, whatever the kids need, people are coming and donating it. And there's a lot of people who are saying, oh, well, we can't take them because we can't afford it. But here's all these people lined up to say, let me take one of these children. Let me, let me buy the children some diapers. There's just so many people in the community in Marietta. I was there last night. I saw the donations. On Saturday in Santa Ana, there's going to be another donation event. If you check Los Angeles People's Media on the Twitter, the information is there. It'll probably get on the Facebook later. But not every one of these kids is going to be on welfare, and that's just not. That's false. That's an assumption that these kids are going to come and be on welfare. And there's the argument, oh, they're going to take our tax money for the welfare, and then they're going to take our jobs. What is there? Are they taking your job? Are they taking what? There's just so much fear, and
that's the point exactly. And they're being used as pawns. And I lost where I was going with that. But it's always to pit. Oh, wait, yeah. So the system has created the welfare first of all. So if you blame the fact that somebody's going to come in and be into the welfare system, then you're blaming the wrong person. If you're blaming these people for coming and taking the jobs, then again you're blaming the wrong people because it's the system.
The jobs are gone. The jobs are gone. The corporations and capitalism and the exploitative nature of the corporation. And the fact that corporations are legally obligated by law to have psychopathic behavior, it's just disgusting. And then these people who are so concerned about their tax money going to pay for people who have needs, these same people are not expressing concerns about these unjust wars based on false premises. That's where more than 50% of your tax money is going to pay for these wars to kill people who... and both sides of these wars are being funded by the United States of America, and they're based on lies, and they're based on false organizations created by the CIA. So it's just why is that not where the outrage is?
Exactly. It's wouldn't it be so much cheaper if it were truly what we want to do was create peace in the world and stability and the so-called democracy.
You know what?
To drop food bombs, right?
Peace does not make rich men rich.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the whole system is to destroy, and then use it up and throw it away and then buy some more. The continued consumerism.
It's about it's about wealth distribution, and they're taking the wealth from the middle class people. They're taking the middle class people's wealth and they're giving it to the rich people via these wars.
Absolutely, yeah. It's
making the middle class poorer. So the middle class people, instead of saying you're taking my tax money to meet someone's needs, should be like you're taking my tax money to kill somebody.
Yeah, it's no longer that they're siphoning it off. They've knocked a hole in the bottom of the barrel and it's pouring out and it's going right into their coffers. Hey, let me bring in Colby. I think you and I may be better prepared to take on a little some hits here, because I think he might stand with a little different view I wonder how this will go. Let me go pull them up. Where are you, Kobe? Yeah. All right. Coming up. He went and looked at your live stream and stuff, and so yeah, I may be surprised, and he may jump right on board with us, or he might call bull on us. So, Colby, what do you think about all this? Right on, Patty. Colby, do we have you?
Sorry, I'm in here. I was just muting my UCY player on the Double Cross page.
Oh, cool. Right on. You put me in a... Yeah. What a sweet baby.
Give me 2 seconds.
You bet. That's a sweet little baby here in the background. Yeah, Double Cross comes up here in about an hour and a half following What Matters Worldwide. In the meantime, Patty, you can be found PM Beers everywhere on all types of social media, live stream, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, right?
Yeah, just on Facebook it's 2 words. It's PM and then Beers is the last name, but everywhere else is just 1 word, PM Beers.
So hey, I got this idea today that maybe you and I could team up, and I would change my name. You'd be PM Beers and I'd be AM Joints.
That's cute.
I can totally get along with that.
Right on. Welcome.
All right, I'm back in here.
Meet Patty.
Hey now.
How's it going? I've actually watched your videos, and I've watched some videos from the other side also, and I'm really confused with the anarchist movement right now. I understand that the anarchist movement wants open borders, and I can understand their theory behind it. But at the same time right now, we've got a government that's walking hand in hand with this. This is a benefit to the welfare state. This is a benefit to a subvert attack on our nation. And I can understand not having a large government, and I can understand being anarcho, but when an agenda is being pushed for one world government, and they're trying to fulfill something like the North American Union or the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and they're doing it in a manner like this, it's not beneficial to the anarchist movement at all. It's actually a bigger problem. And in retrospect, to me, I can understand the children part of it. I can definitely understand that. There's a problem that I keep seeing with children. They keep being used as we've got to do this with the children. Gun rights. We've got to do this for the children. We've got to do this for the children that are coming into the borders. Our government is using this against our own anarchist movement right now and shifting your guys' verse to line up with what their agenda is. And to me, it's scary.
Yeah, I honestly don't really care whatever the agenda of the government is does not influence me and my thoughts and my behavior, because I believe in ethics and compassion and doing what is the right thing and helping people. So whether that means allowing something to happen, allowing these kids to be here because it would be beneficial to them, because they wouldn't be here if their life wasn't hell at home. So if
you ever think about things retrospectively, or in vice versa? So if I were to take my 2 children right now and send them to Guatemala, I would never see the light of day again in my life. I would never see the light of day again in my life, and my children would probably be dead or raped. And that's understandable that the things are worse there. But the perpetual difference between what's going on here is we're not holding the real people accountable. People are sending their children here so that we will take care of them. You have let go of all responsibility. You have let go of all of your parental... I mean, if you're not a parent, you don't understand this. That may be different. I mean, you maybe one day understand.
No, I am a parent.
To me, it makes no complete sense.
Obviously, if these conditions have to be terrible for them to do that. So, and as a parent, I think you could see that. You would never do that in the circumstances that you are in now. Of course, you you would never do that, but you're not in their shoes. And thank goodness that you're not in their shoes, and thank goodness that conditions in your life, in your children's life, is not that terrible. But clearly, if you're going to put your kids on a train and of course risk the life of your children, it's because the cost and the benefits outweigh the risks.
Okay.
You guys got me right in the middle of some hao che. My sister-in-law is such a great cook. I got some Chinese food my brother brought into me. So hey, let me jump in here with this. The free book giveaway tonight to one of our lucky listeners. Okay, this is Collective Retribution by D.S. Edwards. Now, he's sending me a book. I've not read it yet, but it looks really, really good. End time kind of apocalypse type of scenarios, similar to, I would say, G. Michael Hall. That's the End series, really good. So this is the topic. It's going to be about Smurfs. So everybody remember that guy that turned blue back in New York City? What caused that? So the first person to drop that into the chat here at UCY, what caused him to turn blue? D.S. Edwards is going to send you this book, Collective Retribution. Okay. Now, let me turn it back to you guys, because I want to listen to y'all while I eat this Chinese food.
I know.
Go ahead, Colby. I'm glad I had a little bit of time to think there. I'm still trying to calculate a thought that... so you stand with the non-aggression principle, correct?
I believe in self-defense, but I don't believe in attacking anyone without... I believe in self-defense.
Roger, okay. You believe in personal responsibility?
I believe in personal and collective responsibility. I believe that who can give should give, and who needs should be given to. So if you have a need that you can't meet, then I should help you with it. And as a collective, and of course it's not voluntary. It is voluntary, and I haven't studied voluntarism, but I think if you have more than you need, you have a responsibility, just ethically. I mean, I don't know. These are just ethical.
Roger, that would be the same thing as Ron Paul's version of voluntarism, which is more of a libertarian property, also. Which is a very just cause.
Christian. It's also Christian. I learned this from Christianity. I don't consider myself a Christian, but I do like some of the teachings that I learned as a child, and I think they're really good ethical principles.
Okay. So, do you believe in redistribution of wealth and socialism?
No, I'm not really so much into forcing anyone to do anything.
Okay. But, so then it would be okay for other people to send children across our borders, and then our government to force us to pay for them.
Okay, so this is something that people are making assumptions about. Like right now in Marietta, there are 11 organizations prepared to take 600 children. There are people like, last night I was in Marietta, people were dropping off so many donations. The Southern California community, like all the way from San Diego, Los Angeles, even further north, people are coming down to Marietta to help these kids.
And that would be the right thing to do. But the advantage
of
this for our government is the 4 million plus 4 billion, I think it was actually. I can look it up real quick if I need to. But dollars that's going to be taken from the pockets of every American, which, as you've already stated before about the principles of war, which I've been to 2 of them. I know how that works a little bit.
That's all magic and numbers, But hey, let me jump in just for a second again. Congratulations in chat. Winner, chicken dinner. And also, we got Dylan Wade joining us. He's a 15-year-old young man. He's paraplegic, and he is on a hunt and exploration. That voyage of discovery for himself, because he too sees things as they should be in this world. So let him jump in. Hey, Dylan, welcome.
Hey guys.
Hey, Dylan, how's it going?
Hey, now.
It's good. What were you guys talking about? Sorry, I jumped in early. Jumped in late.
We're talking about the children. The ones down on the border, militia on the border there, and basically, just how people interact in kind of conflict with one another about the issue.
And it's a double-edged sword, honestly.
That I can completely concur with.
I mean, either way, you're not looking at a good scenario. I'd say you gotta find a way to get them in legally, but I know that's not the way they're going with it. I think that's the right way to go, but I know that's not what they're gonna do, so I don't know. It's a complicated issue.
Yeah, and I personally don't, I don't really care about laws. I care about right and wrong and ethics and stuff. So that's the perspective that I'm coming from of, that if somebody says, I need food, you give them food. If they need water, you give them water. If what they need is a safe place to be, you let them be. And there's a lot of people... Yeah. There's a lot of people ready to help these kids. So, and then also a lot of people are saying that, a lot of people are upset about the tax money going to the welfare, which is probably going to happen with some of them, but obviously not all of them. But I don't see these same people being outraged about the false pretense of these wars based on lies, and all these 50% of the tax money is spent on war. And I see people saying, I don't want my tax money going to meet the needs of these children, but they're not saying, I don't want my tax money going to war.
I don't think you're looking at the right people, honestly, if that's not what you're seeing. Or you're not surrounding yourself with the right people.
I've been discussing this issue with a lot of people who disagree with me. And I'm bringing up that issue, and they're not saying, oh, I'm against these wars.
Well, when you're talking to those people, it's likely that you're talking to the authoritarian, fundamentalist conservatives or corporate Democrats. Honestly, that's what it seems like. I think you're surrounding yourself with.
I don't know. That could be. Jordan. I don't always ask people what is your label. So I don't know.
Jordan Page probably said it best: the establishment whores. Which is what that is. They believe in corporatism. They believe in wars profiting, which, we've seen this since the dawn of time. Wars do make profit because they shorten down the supply of people, which makes more things available to more people. It grows money. It's an ending pool.
It redistributes the wealth. It redistributes the wealth from the middle class to the rich.
Yeah, and that's the problem with it. And that's really where I have a problem with the authoritarian ideology or the fascist ideology and those who support it. How can you support somebody taking your money and giving it to somebody who doesn't need it? That just boggles my mind.
So to get back on topic, what we were talking about is the influx of illegal immigrant children from in Marietta, and Pina Beers was actually down there. I've watched her videos, and honestly, it's a back and forth. They were being aggressive, but you put yourself in an aggressive situation. It's mildly. You always have the fault of your own and not the fault of your own. The other people were acting out of hand, definitely.
Yeah, I didn't expect violence. I really didn't expect violence. I've been to thousands of protests, and I've never seen protesters get violent. So that kind of blows my mind still.
I think, sure, it wasn't good that they got violent, but you can understand why. They went from one country to another, and then when they got there, they were met with militia members and protesters telling them they can't come through. I would be a little pissed off too.
Actually, it's the other side that got violent. Somebody, people got violent. They got violent with me, and they didn't even know. I didn't even say, "Hey, I support this side or that side. I was basically, when they got violent with me, nobody asked me, like, they just made assumptions with me. They assumed that I was with a group that they labeled as anarchists. They made several assumptions about me, and it was that even, like, freaks me out even more that people got violent with me without knowing who I am or who they're getting violent with.
But you are an anarchist, right?
I don't feel comfortable with the word anarchist because most people don't understand what it means, and I don't call myself an anarchist, but I believe in equality. I believe I'm against hierarchy. I believe that all people, that nobody should take authority over any other person unless there's a legitimate reason. So I don't really like labels, but like I have these ideas.
The reason people got violent with you immediately is because that is the nature of the beast. That is what this conflict has created. It's created a large group of protesters always on edge, always expecting somebody to stab them in the back. So when you come to them, and I can't remember if you said you did argue with them, but if you didn't agree with their point, they saw you as the enemy because that's the society that's been created under these circumstances.
No, when I was at the second side of the protest, I mostly didn't engage with anyone.
I don't know, but it is an aggressive environment that was created by this conflict, and you do have to...
I don't know,
conflict's an intentional bait switch.
From my point of view, there's never an excuse to get violent unless there's self-defense. Self-defense is the only reason to ever use force against another person, and I'm shocked.
Well, I agree with you, but unfortunately, I'm assuming at least the majority of the people there who are already there getting violent don't agree. So I agree with your point, but you do have to. It's sad.
I mean, did you
show
up?
To watch your back.
Did you show up with certain people, Patty? Or sorry, Beers?
I arrived at the same time as a group of people.
Because I know Cassandra Rules was there also. I'm a follower and a friend.
Yeah, she was.
And I told her, I was like, I don't agree, but
yeah, she wasn't with me at that time. She came later because I kept texting her, "You need to come over here." But she came after people were already in handcuffs, and after I think she saw some of the police brutality when she got there. But I'm really upset with Pete Santilli and Guerrilla Media for like lying about what happened. He basically said that anarchists pushed a 70-year-old woman. Nobody touched the woman. She hit me. So that's just a flat-out lie, and he has no evidence. And I even text messaged him to say that there's a video that shows that nobody pushed her, and he didn't really care. Like he basically said, "I don't care. It doesn't matter." He said, "What does it matter?" And I said back to him, "It matters because your headlines are lying."
I've watched the video, and I do believe you guys had a little exchange of. It wasn't really pushing. I don't know. There was something that wasn't seen. It looked like you might have been slapped on the side or something like that, and then you guys had kind of a little. It kind of looked like pushing back and forth, or like someone went to hit you and you pushed their hand out of the way. I mean, I don't know. It looked kind of. It was all you couldn't really see everything that was going on, but
yeah. And then the cop violently grabbed that girl, the girl who the older woman was going to go kick her ass, and then the cops like gently guided her away, and then they violently grabbed the girl.
Well, yeah, it's a bad situation over there. It does.
And the cops, the behavior of the cops is really, really biased. Even yesterday, a guy came to the vigil, and he walked all the way around the vigil with a Border Patrol shirt on and an American flag. And, like, I believe that he had the right to be there because like I was saying earlier, he has the same constitutional rights as everyone. And I'm not really into the cops separating protesters unless, like, they're going to get violent. And most of the times, I don't think that they are going to get violent. Sometimes people just want to have a conversation, which happened a lot yesterday at the Visual. There was a lot of conversations between both sides. And I'm glad that the cops didn't try to separate that because I really like talking to people who disagree with me. And but anyway, basically the cops, like, they just said to him, "Hey, come over here, let me talk to you." And then they told him to put him, they took away his flagpole for a little while, and then all the media focused on him, which was crazy because there was like 6 people from the pro-border side, and there was like a couple hundred people from the pro-refugee side, and all the media was focusing on the guy with the flag. But I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, the cops. Like, the cops are just being, like, super sweet to the people with the flags. And they were pretty violent with me when they grabbed me and twisted my arm behind my back and took me between two SUVs where nobody could see and patted me down, which scared the shit out of me because I know, like, all about police brutality and, like,
if you think about that on a mental level, have you thought about that on a mental level?
What do you mean? How do I thought about what on a mental level?
The cops are being told by the government not to follow the rule of law.
Not always. Not always.
The ones down the border at this point in time are being taught. They're being told to allow the buses of immigrants in, which is against our legal law.
Actually, the law... No, let me tell you. The law states that once the people from Central America come, if they're not from Mexico, they can't just throw them back across the border. The law says that they have to process them within 72 hours, which is why they brought them to Murrieta, because there's too many to process. So they're sending them to different processing centers, and that's the law. So the law is the kids have to go there and get processed.
They have to get processed, but the law is they're supposed to be deported. The law also states that in 2006 there was supposed to be an entire fence eradicated, but that's just the law. This is what I'm not computing about the anarcho movement right now. None of you are lining up with what your stature is. All of you are backing the fact that the government right now wants all of this to happen. Think outside the box. Think outside the box of what is coming from this.
From an anarchist perspective, you don't recognize nations and borders. So from an anarchist perspective...
You may not recognize them, but you also don't recognize when they have an ulterior objective to create more law. You got to think inside of there's a bigger box outside of everything government does. And honestly,
if you don't recognize government, why would you want to agree with, like, borders? If you don't recognize nations, then why would borders don't exist?
I understand that portion, but at the same time, you're taking your philosophy and not thinking about the end game. And I understand your philosophy completely. You don't believe in borders, but right now you have an objective being portrayed.
Can I jump in for a sec on that?
Floor, Dylan.
I don't think that... Sorry, I lost my train of thought again. I agree that there is an ulterior motive, but I believe that the human rights crisis that's going on kind of outweighs at this point the ulterior motive. We can deal with the ulterior motive once we've helped these people. That's my thoughts, at least. I think that you need to deal with the people that are crossing over and being sent back immediately, or being welcomed in. They should follow due process in both ways, but we can't look at the ulterior motive without looking at the actual benefits versus the negatives. You have to look at both sides and then decide which outweighs the other.
I'd like to witness.
Most of them are being stored in jail areas, or schools that are closed for the summer break.
I don't agree with that either.
They're not being stored in a proper manner. And the other portion we have to look at is the disease outbreak, which is being reported.
I would like.
Yeah, I heard that people are getting scabies, so I looked it up because I thought scabies was something else. So I look it up, and it says that the way you get scabies is like from prolonged physical skin-to-skin contact. So, of course, these kids are getting diseases that are from prolonged contact because they've been squished together for, the months of time that it takes them to travel. But now they're saying that the Border Patrol agents are getting scabies or whatever, or tuberculosis or whatever, but that's not actually possible.
Yeah, that's something that interests me because I've been hearing this, thrown around. These, these little varmints are coming up here and infecting us all. I have a response to a post I shared from Jose M. Gonzalez that will be back here one day with us again too. But anyways, so it says that to be in the U.S., this 14-year-old hitchhiked, walked for miles, dodged thunderstorms, jumped from a moving train to avoid roving gangs, had his money stolen by unscrupulous border police, witnessed a pregnant woman thrown under a train and killed, begged for his bus fare, and felt more hunger, thirst, fear, fatigue than most people feel in a lifetime. So what have you done to deserve to be here? My response to that, indeed, the here. Now there were people here before us. I guess people will be here when we're gone. So I mean, what right is it by nation or by law or by birth? How do we claim this idea of freedom that America stands for? Because the now is where we are. It's where we each are until we choose to be elsewhere. Prior claims by any that are not now here are invalid. So I say each individual has a right to self-determination, which includes going where one will. Laws are for control, to protect the controllers, not the controlled. This, I think, and we may all agree, I think. And remember, fences fence you in as they fence others out. Problem, reaction, solution. It's the way public opinion is directed. And again, when you look left, bam, there it is, coming from the other side. It's that same old con, that Kansas City Shuffle, baby. And I'm going to go get Mr. Miner Dave. I'm bringing him on along. Where'd you go? I just had you in front of me. And you guys have some Agenda 21 and some other that kind of follows right along with our subject now. And Patty, I'd welcome you to stay along with us, and Dylan, you as well. And let's do a little shift here, shall we?
All right, I can stay for a little while. I have something to do, so
yeah,
I can stay for a little.
You're going down to I seen that and I forgot. You're going to be there between 5th and 6th Street. On what street? And what are you doing?
I'm going down to Art Walk. Some friends, some other activists are going to be down at Art Walk. So
cool. Awesome. You're awesome, Patty. You're really awesome.
Dave's here.
Yeah, hey Dave, stand by, brother.
Hey now.
Yeah. Patty, you are awesome. It was wonderful to we met I guess 2 or 3 times up there as you were back and forth. You do a great amount of what some people can't do. You're there for others. You're sharing events on live stream. You really are a hero, Patty, and I really appreciate you.
I don't know if I'm a hero, but I like to tell the truth.
You're my hero. So welcome, Dave, Miner Dave, the roaring bear, the keeper of the republic. How you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing real good. I just had some spaghetti dinner that was really wonderful while I was listening to a very good conversation. What I would like to say is let's talk about borders. Let's talk about the Roman borders, and the Germanic borders, and how Rome fell, and how the Germanic people defeated Rome, and it was by them being taken into their military after they were conquered. It was them not defending their borders.
Hey, excuse me just a bit. I'm sorry. Hey, Dylan, mute your mic up when you're not speaking, would you please?
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Thank you.
Okay, so then we have what happened is there was different tribes of the Germanic people. There were the Bulgarians, which were a lot further away than the other Germanic peoples, like in France and this was in Bavaria, and in Bavaria they were never defeated by the Romans, because when the Romans got there, they weren't used to all the big trees. They were used to the mountains, but they weren't used to the trees and the forest, and they couldn't fight their conventional war. They lost by nutrition.
I'm sorry to interrupt you again. Hey, let me go ahead and just take, because you guys are going to take it away. Patty, when you got to take off, you go ahead and jump out. Thanks again so much. PM Beers, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, live stream.
Ustream.
Thank you, Kobe. And I'm going to leave it to you guys. Jump in when you want to.
Patty, really nice to talk to you also.
So,
we may have differing opinions, but no harm, no foul.
That's just awesome. No, I really enjoy talking to people I disagree with. I think it keeps me sharp, keeps my mind sharp. So thank you.
Yes, I agree. That's that dialogue is the most important thing that we can have, and be respectful of one another, even in our disagreements. So, hey, I'm gonna jump out of here for a minute, and I'm turning it over to you guys. And looks like that Dylan dropped out. So. It's you 2 and 3.
Okay, Kobe, I'll let you bring us on, if you like, and I'll mute up.
Well, Dave's got some pretty good material for tonight that I really haven't researched too much of. I know I've looked at some videos of in the past, the fall of Rome, fall of takeover from Germania, and honestly, a lot of the different changeovers in the world because of government over different rulerships or religions. I've looked into a lot of that on YouTube over the times, and I think he's got a pretty good topic on what's really going on right now. And this is why you've really got to think about that ulterior motive. Take it away, Dave.
Dave, you there?
I had a little trouble unmuting. All right, I'm here. What I'm going to talk about is Agenda 21 and the public-private partnership and the planned merger of your local, state, and federal governments with the public-private partnership, where you have, overseas, if you're in the Army, they call them non-governmental agencies. That's what the UN calls them. We call them here nonprofits. Nonprofits were created for charities. So if I gave to a charity that was going to give clothing away and I gave them clothing, I could write off the clothing off my taxes, and they could sell it, and they could keep the money, and they could use it for their charity if they sold it or if they gave it away or whatever, however the charity is in their charter. And then you have an educational one. Well, somebody's gotten the great idea to take education and make it political, and they go out, they seek after federal public funds. Oh, hell, they get money from the UN. I wouldn't be surprised on some of these guys. It's really hard to follow all the money because they get so much money from so many different directions. It's unbelievable. It's really hard to track. That's why we need an audit of them, all of the public-private partnerships, which right now the public-private partnership wants to erase the border. They want to erase the border so Mexico becomes part of the United States and Canada all become one, and then we all fall under the public-private partnership, like Colby was saying earlier with the Trans-Pacific Treaty they want to do, or the Treaty of the Law of the Sea, where we give other countries jurisdiction over our shorelines. Why would we want to do that? That would make us vulnerable to an attack. I believe right now we're being invaded because, see, they're just using the children to smuggle other things in while they're busy with the children. The children are just being used as pawns. You should feel sorry for them, and if you can help them, you should help them. But the government should be sending them home. And if the governments don't take them, well, then we send them a bill, and we send Mexico a bill. By the way, we can get them to convince them real easy. The people that are here that send money home to Mexico, we could freeze those assets from anybody sending any money to Mexico. And that way we could have the Mexicans stop it at their border south of them. And they could cut that border off. And that border, it'd be easy to cut off because it's a short one. So I suggest to Obama issue an executive order freezing the assets of any overseas, any money going into Mexico, any money going into South America, and freeze all those countries' assets until they stop sending the children. And then we deal with the ones we've got here in some way, humanely, because, like, they're innocent. The children are innocent. They're just being used to play at our heartstrings. They're trying to get you to think with your heart and not your head. So we got to do both. You have to have the kindness to children because they need it. They're vulnerable. But we have to shut it off because if not, in 2 years there will be no United States. There will be no sovereignty. There will be no Bill of Rights. There will be no owning any guns. There will be no owning any buildings. Because, see, they'll have equal distribution. They'll give you some place to live, but you'll have to live there. And they may even put a bracelet on you, so wherever you go, you're tracked. And you can bet on it that's what's coming if we don't stand up and put a stop to it now. So, Kobe, do you have any comments on what I've just said?
You went a little bit totalitarian with that, but the truth of the matter is what you're talking about is sanctions. Sanctions are technically an act of war. We've used sanctions under Obama for a lot of things overseas. But here's where I think PM Beers actually had a really good point. Why are people supporting the wars to free good people overseas when most of them are actually crony? Why are the people not in an uproar to take care of the people below us that are actually our neighbors? Why are we in Iraq and Iran, or in Afghanistan? Why? Why have we been in Iraq and Afghanistan? Why are we not in Mexico making sure that their cartels aren't shipping drugs up to us? If you want to actually do something as a war to be a free nation and show that you have a liberty, prosperity to share with your neighbors, why are you not going into Mexico, going into Guatemala? Why? Why are we not doing that? Why is all of this being allowed to happen while war is waged and funded undercover most of the time by CIA, FBI, all kinds of different other organizations like Blackwater, L3. I mean, I could name a bunch of them that I work with, KBR. Why are we over there? They don't want us there. The people below us really want us there, and they want our help. And that's why they flee to here. And I can agree with why they flee to here. But what PM Pierce said was, honestly, that's a truth that I hold honestly in myself, is why did I go to Afghanistan and why did I go to Iraq when we could have actually done something to free up a people that really just need to rise up themselves?
Also, I personally know a lot of people who are legally here from Mexico, and they're legally here, and they're working hard, and they're helping out their families in Mexico. So I think cutting off money just arbitrarily is kind of not right, because there's people here, following those laws. And then also, if drugs were legal, like, so much would be safer, and the cartels wouldn't exist, and a lot of the violence wouldn't exist.
I didn't state the drug war is bullshit. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah. But that's the thing, is we benefit governmentally off the drug war. Why is Afghanistan poppy showing up in Mexico and then coming across our border? Because we benefit financially through prisons. I mean, this is a cycle. This is what I'm saying, is there is a giant enigma.
It's all about,
There's this
it's
big
all
thing.
about money. It's all about money. It's all about capitalism.
It's not all about, it's not about capitalism at all. It's about control.
This is
there's another, when I say capitalism, what I mean is corporate capitalism that's exploitative, because there's small businesses that aren't hurting anybody, that are benefiting your community, that I'm not so against, but it's when you have these big companies that go down in Central America and they really mess up the economy down there, and that's really a huge factor.
I'm against fascist capitalism, which is public-private partnerships. It's where you got the merger of corporation and government, because government has the impact of the force of a gun, and I don't want that in corporate hands. This is where most people, what they call capitalism today, isn't capitalism. It isn't free trade. It's controlled trade. It isn't. I can choose to contract with somebody, my neighbor, my friend, or whatever, without involving government. Why do we need to involve government in whether you get married or whether you have a deal with a friend to give him a ride somewhere? Why do we need government in that agreement? We don't. What we need is less government, and what you end up with is you guys have got it wrong on anarchy. It's the government that's creating anarchy. They're the anarchists. What we are is we're the people with the authority to be the ultimate arbitrator, not the Supreme Court, because we the people have the right to nullify, and the thing is nobody's nullifying. They're too busy arguing over incidental, what I call, like it's called, circuses and things that during the Roman Empire where they fed people to the lions for entertainment, or they had two guys fighting for entertainment, or you have in our modern society they don't execute anybody anymore like that, but what they do is they have something similar. It's called politics. It's the art of deception, to deceive you, because we're not supposed to put our trust all in one person. We're supposed to spread our trust out amongst everybody. And right now, nobody trusts anybody, and it's because government has caused it. And what the problem is everybody's looking for the government to solve it when we, the people, need to solve it. And that's all I have there is we don't truly have free trade, because I'm not allowed to trade because I've been ordered by a court, and I was put in jail for exercising my rights. And so I feel for you, for your inconvenience from the police, because they inconvenienced me, and I don't like it. And I don't like anybody that's inconvenienced when you're just trying to film something. And
yeah.
So
I've gone to jail for filming before, also.
Yes, and that means you stand up your principles. I got nothing but respect for that.
Yeah, and also it's constitutionally protected, so
yes,
it's freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, and
freedom of religion, freedom of have a gun, freedom to protect yourself, freedom to own property. There's a lot of things in that.
Okay, that was weird. I added him to the call, and we crashed for some reason. So I'll go add you. Let me bring Patty. I'll bring everybody back here as I can. Let's see. Let me get Hams right here. So him also. And dadgum. All right, where's Colby? So as we come in, you guys, no, they're still spinning there. Okay, here we go. Okay, that was, I added him to the call.
What's up, Vince?
Okay, hey Ham. Mute your player, will you?
Yeah, it's off.
All right. I am lost. I'm going to mute up. Let me go get these guys. You take it over there, would you, brother?
Okay. I heard some interesting conversation during the middle of the anarchist versus capitalist versus whatever ist and ism that you're following, and the problem is the money, and the money is easily manipulated, so the money has no meaning, and when we everyday life, the fact that one bag of rice now costs somewhere $1.75. 5 years ago that was 39 cents, which was gas. And now we're at.
You are breaking all kinds of and we still have a feedback from somebody.
I'm here. I got no feedback.
Patty's still ringing out, and Dave's ringing in, and Patty may not. Okay. Somebody killed her feed. Or is that just me, or is it Skype? Somebody said,
hello.
My feed's dead. Skype's echoing.
I'm here.
Dave, kill your sound.
Okay, it looks like we're back.
So look, there's a common misconception that seems to be like raising its head again here, that it's about money. Money is nothing. Money is a vessel for control. Money is completely manipulated at every level. So it's all about the control, which is created through making debt. And I'm not talking $20. I'm talking about lifetime debt.
I'll jump into that. You're talking about the fact that people with Social Security numbers and people as residents equal debt that's borrowable.
No, that's not what I'm meaning at all. I'm meaning that
you guys said headphones, Zombie?
I mean the sorry. The debt that the people are being saddled with is nothing more than control.
Okay, everybody talk all at the same time.
Now, you were talking about the debt is silent. Sorry, I had children also in the background. You're echoing hard.
Are we there?
I'm here.
Anyway, I got something I could say is he's right. They're settling us with the control is the debt, and the debt is the control, because everything we have right now is an illusion. It's all just digits by adding zeros. They're not even really printing the money up. It's all just entries in a computer. And I'll let you go answer that, Colby. Back to you.
Yeah, we've got some major Skype issues going on here.
We're discussing an issue that's very pertinent. We're getting off the topic of, oh my God, it's the Mexicans showing up. It's not the Mexicans showing up. When your enemy approaches you and starts, swinging a sword at you, you're not scared of the sword itself. It's your enemy's intent. And right now, the Mexicans are just being used as a weapon, or Mexicans and other South Americans are being used.
It's not even just anybody south of us. Actually, there's reports out that are from overseas that people were being shipped over to countries down south.
I've got contacts in the Border Patrol. I live South Texas, and I've got it on very good word, like guys that I would trust and have to my house and leave in my house if I had to like run uptown or something, that they've not made an arrest in a month. So this problem isn't the people who are coming because, well, we give away a lot of free crap. It's in their best interest to show up here. They're not the problem. The problem we have is the people, number one, getting in the way of the assigned law enforcement that we have to do the job. But I'll tell you what, I'm sure there's plenty of cops and Border Patrol at highway checkpoints right now, checking somebody who's traveling from, Arizona to Louisiana or something, Well,
and that's the part that, David didn't actually hit the right names for it. There's NAFTA and there's the Trans-Pacific Partnership. So there's NAFTA, the North American Union, and the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Why don't we have a border in Canada? Because they're socialists. They get whatever they want, except for some of their rights.
We absolutely have a border with Canada. We absolutely have a border with
Canada.
But
we don't have a wall border.
No, because there's not the great disparity in incomes, and Canada isn't a third world country. Northern Mexico is a third world country. Southern Mexico is a third world country. Central Mexico and in areas is a third world country. The gap between rich and poor in Mexico is enormous. It's even worse than it is here. And that's not the same in Canada.
The coastline simply plays the profit, honestly.
The profits in Mexico go to government officials.
And that's the truth.
That's where the money goes. But once again, the money is just temporary. Because the same amount of money that you spend right now to get a gallon of gas would have bought you how much gas in 1990? And we're old now, so we can talk. We had the exact same issues going on in 1990.
Well, I'm 30, so I'm not old, but I can remember 1990.
So in 1990, there was the exact same issue. So this is a very, very simple tool to use against the American people and to use against the American people's prosperity. So I really think that, it's easy to focus on, and I'm using air quotes around the Mexican. That's kind of hating your enemy's rifle. It's just another tool. They're just people coming in. The real problem is in who is making these laws, who is making the laws, and who is not enforcing the laws is the real issue, I think.
Exactly. Why in 2006 was a border fence supposed to be erected? But it never happened because we changed powers. And the problem is we're getting fed socialism at a slow pace. And we're liking it. And our people are becoming dumber. And they're becoming more natural to do this.
Socialism, I think, is one of those words that's misused, kind of like liberal is misused. I've got no problem with a socialism that provides for everybody for the basic needs of the people. We are a great country. We have everything that we could possibly need except for a jillion tons of lithium. Okay? We've got everything we could possibly need here. Why should 4 or 5, 12 corporations take massive amounts of profit, crap on the land, and give everybody autism and cancer on the way out the door as they're taking off with, $13 billion. I live up the street from a Dow factory. I know exactly what's going on.
Well, I'm in timber country that we've stopped monitoring, and now we're in a drought, and the environmentalists are like, oh my gosh, we have to conserve water. We have to conserve water. That was a great idea before you pushed to blow out dams that produced hydroelectricity that was renewable and also caused an evaporation. I'm not a scientist, and I understand this. When you have pooling water and you have heat coming on it, it causes evaporation, which causes precipitation. You have clouds. Now, when you cut all the dams out and you let the streams flow rapid, you're killing 2 sources of renewable energy. You're making the water, first off, that funds the electricity. You're feeding the crops that go in your belly. And you're actually creating an ecosystem. It's just like making a pond. I've actually done this recently in my pond. There's a way to make an ecosystem. but no one on the side. That's a problem. Is Mexico doesn't have natural resources in some places that we do, and all the money goes to the top with them.
Mexico is very resource rich. Mexico is quite wealthy in resources. But the problem in Mexico and the resources is those resources sit in very few hands.
It's oligarchical.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's
which we are becoming.
I mean, really, the richest man in the world lives in Mexico. You know, Carlos Slim owns every cell phone tower, every cable TV hookup in Mexico. That man's got way more money than Bill Gates, and you know, Mexico is not to be ignored, and this problem is really going to explode, and we're treating the fever without looking for the infection is probably the simplest way to say it. We have legislators that are selling us down the river.
The infection, honestly, is the establishment on both sides. And a lot of people know it. If you're not involved in politics, you don't see it as much. But that is the big problem. And it's the people that actually vote for them because they are in one little categorized box with your integrity. So they're in the box with what's their name.
Things, though. The establishment runs into many things. I mean, it's not just the politics; it's the media.
When you have all the resources of a country tied up in these unique partnerships agreements between government and corporations, where they blur the lines of who's government and who's a private corporation, and they only share amongst themselves, and they give peanuts to everybody else, and that's bad greed, very bad. It's sloth. It creates nothing but problems. This is why Congress in 1866, 1872, 1860, 1870, and combined them in 1872 here in the United States, they gave those resources away on the public lands for people to come file on that are citizens of the United States. And all you had to do was proclaim your intentions to become a citizen of the United States. Of course, back then we didn't have a welfare state. So as long as you have a welfare state, you have to have control over your borders, or you'll bring your country down. That's how Rome fell. If you let people come in and develop the resources, you could have, and you weren't giving every zillion thing away at other people's expense, then you would. Things could be different than they are. They could go back to the way the Republic, and we could assimilate people, and we could actually, before they were turned loose on the public, they could have physical exams, make sure they don't have tuberculosis. If they do, they're quarantined. So you don't pass things around. But when you have a welfare state, it's impossible to have open borders, or you lose your sovereignty. You just get overwhelmed. It creates an invasion and what they call a gunless or shootless revolution. It's a way to bring down the sovereignty of a country, and we don't want to lose our rights. Now, if people want to become a republic and copy our stuff, they're free to do it in their own country. I don't think we should be going over fighting other people's wars just because, and I don't believe in war. So what we need to do is just stop butting into other people's business and tend to our own, and and get rid of the welfare state, and let people have a chance to develop their property, their lands, their way of life. This is about survival.
I think the welfare state is a drop in the bucket compared to the war state.
Well, that go hand in hand. I'm including that in the welfare state because I'm including corporate welfare and all the bailouts for that. That's.
I mean, I would much rather see, you know, a family who maybe doesn't need the $200 or $250 a month in food stamps, and yeah, they'll use it to buy lobster and filet mignon, or they'll sell them for $50 or whatever they get for trading off food stamps or cash. I'd rather see that go to the small people than to see the price of a gallon of JP8, which is the standard military fuel.
Yes,
that costs $440 a gallon in Afghanistan.
Right,
you're mistaken.
It's ridiculous.
So, taking it's higher than that now.
No, it may be higher than that. That is an old number. That number's about 3 years old. So yeah, it may be higher than that. So
I think you dealt with a CHUH, an AH, or any of the above that are an H.
Well, everything uses that. Everything uses it. Trucks use it.
Well, yes, we do use JP8 in our trucks.
Motorcycles use it. Heaters use it. They use it to burn turds. It's everything uses it. All right. So at $440, you know, let's take a stretch and just say $450. You know, that's 1 gallon of that. That pays for 2 people's food stamps for a month.
Yeah, that's right.
You know that none of the vehicles or any of the equipment that uses that are like fuel efficient vehicles.
Oh no, a tank is not very fuel efficient.
No. A military generator is not fuel efficient.
No, they don't know such a thing.
So I mean, I think that's really where the problem is it's in the war state, and when we like push on the welfare state, we're actually almost advocating for like class violence, in which inevitably will descend into like race.
I was referring to the corporate welfare when I was talking about welfare, not so much the guy that gets food stamps, because hell, I get food stamps. I'm talking about the welfare state.
I think if you're going to say that, you have to mention that it's corporate welfare, because when you say welfare to the average person, they're thinking of the woman in line, you know, with 7 kids and she's got 3 cards full Apple Jacks cards, you know.
I meant all the money that goes into black projects, you know, into what you haven't even seen what's been built yet, because they haven't deployed it. It's just sitting on a shelf somewhere. That they've
got to have something, because I have a 72 Ford truck and I have a 1998 Chevy truck. My 72 Ford truck gets about 12 miles a gallon, and my 98 Chevy truck gets 16 miles a gallon. So that's 27 years of development, 26 years of development, and I got 2 miles a gallon and an air conditioner.
Right.
Where's my robot butler? You know, where is the money that the actual money that the $900 toilet seats are buying? Where is the actual money that should be used on the people?
Where's my flying car?
Where are my non-starving children in public school in Detroit?
Right.
Where are my people in Detroit's water? This is the problem. We've got legislators. And you call it the whole system. I'll agree with you. The whole system is corrupt. The whole system is designed right now
from top to bottom
to take us down. And
there isn't anything good about this current corruption that's going on. And if you look, you know, if you remember the old Teapot Dome story, where they were buying real estate and trading it back and forth, raising the price each time it went back and forth. And the government bought and sold it like 25 times or something. So, you know, this makes that look like nothing. And that was a big deal of its day. Teapot Dome?
But absolutely it was. Now, you're not going to find anybody in the LOL OMG text message generation that has any idea what the Teapot Dome is. They're going to think that was a song on a children's cartoon or something.
I understand. It's been a long time since I read about it.
Well, that's...
It's definitely... Zombie, it's a little bit harder. I'm serious, because, I mean, I'm 30, man. I get along with a lot of people, and I'm trying to, like... I'm more of a Ron Paul supporter. I'm more libertarian, honestly, or constitutionalist, and I'm trying to get people involved in the Republican Party, and I've got friends that agree with everything I say, but I can't get them in. I mean,
I think by working within the system, you're furthering the beast, and I totally applaud your fervor for and your gusto for putting people and getting involved. But I think by participating in the system, you're furthering the beast. You're feeding it even more. I think maybe this is just me. I think your efforts might be better spent to initiate like widespread tax revolt, widespread tax resistance, defiance.
I've done some pretty good things, honestly. On a county level, I've seen that locally you can make change, but until you awaken the hearts and minds and see prosperity on a county level, I don't think it's going to spread to a state level. I think it's going to take a minute, and that's kind of what's been going on, is everything else that I pushed this year is I pushed good candidates with no money. Guys that had good ideas and had good principles. And I keep pushing that. I mean, I volunteered for a Facebook page. Dude, I mean, I ran this guy's Facebook page. He wasn't on Facebook. He doesn't know how to use Facebook. He didn't want to get involved in it. He's like, we can email back and forth and call back and forth. If there's a question, I will sit there on the phone with you and we can, you can be my stenographer. That's cool. But, and I helped him out. And he got second in the state, and he came in, honestly, way late in the game. And he was seriously like, I'm going to go with the sheriff, and I'm going to go over, I'm going to cut this BLM fence down, and we're going to go start cutting trees down. Responsibly, to make sure that we thin the herd, but don't take the whole thing. And he was a good man. I mean, he was like, let's abolish taking funding for federal grants for education, because it's obviously done us no good. The second we get a Republican, they do something that dumbs them down to be a Republican. The second someone in the left's in office, we get the same thing, but vice versa. He was like, no, let's just stop taking the funding, and we will figure out by area how we want to do schooling. And we'll take a lot of examples and, actually form something that's closer to the mentality of the people locally that feel in the school board this is what should be ran. And I was like, wow. I mean, he had great ideas, and he got second in the state, and I think he only honestly ran for about 8 months. I mean, and that's the change I'm seeing. He gets second with just a little bit of help.
Right.
Go ahead.
Now,
yeah, go ahead.
This change is not coming fast enough for what we're facing. And that's just brutally honest. It's not going to... Any kind of change within the system that we can affect is not going to happen fast enough to have any kind of good. The system is broken. There is no saving it. There's no working within it, because the system is designed to work against us.
I would say that Kobe and me are not in a position to do anything with taxes, because we don't make any money to pay taxes. So we've already been involved in a tax revolt because we don't make
awesome. I totally appreciate that. Maybe that should possibly be something that's passed on to more people. Because I'll be honest with you, I've got tax problems myself.
Yeah, I don't have any tax problems.
Well, I
didn't make any money to pay taxes, so I've been doing that for quite a long time. But it's because I live like what my mom and dad used to say. Don't throw that out. There's somebody in China starving, and now I'm thinking, well, I'm glad that my mom taught me that, because now I have it for me, and I'm not starving.
Here's a stark reality that we're going to have to face eventually. And we can all think back about 15 years and look at videos of China where it was nothing but highways with semi-trucks on the right and rickshaws and bicycles and scooters in the rest of the lanes. Now those highways are packed. I recently saw a video where McDonald's has a deal to open up a restaurant in every one of the Chinese state-owned gas stations. And the line of cars was Mercedes, Lamborghini, Audi, Ferrari, Maybach, high-end cars.
And you're going into this. You're going to a good point. Outsourcing. Our over-regulation has outsourced our entire economy. We have screwed ourselves so much that we don't have a lead factory in the United States of America, which, I mean, there's people like me that still make their own lead for their pistol shot and for their shotgun, and I could honestly do it for my ARs also. But we have no lead refineries. We have no smelters in Montana, which when I grew up in Montana, it was full of smelters. Full of smelters where people had good work and they busted their butt to do something, to make something for this economy. We don't have that anymore. Everything we have has been outsourced, and we're not even allowed to produce economy through our own resources because on the western portion of the country, we don't own it. The federal government does, and no one there. While there are people that are working to do this, and David's one of them, and I'm trying to do what I can inside the party and actually get people involved. And it's pulling teeth, and it's slow movement, and you are correct. This is going to happen quickly. We are going to have an economic downfall, and the dollar will be dead.
The dollar, I think, is already on the way out. I mean, the recent deal with China to buy oil outside of the dollar and Russia basically kicking the dollar to the curb. Yeah. I mean, prices haven't gone down in the last month. They've steadily risen every day.
It's a fixed economy, though. When you have a fixed economy they're always like, the housing market's growing.
It's been a fixed economy since 1971. It can no longer be fixed. I mean, Germany just had to accept that the United States won't let them see their gold.
That's the worst part, actually. China and Russia are talking about, like you just said, they're talking about kicking the dollar and going straight to a gold-backed currency. I mean, we're in a state that there's going to be one day
whatever kind of currency they use is way down the road. The immediate threat to us is that you won't have to purchase dollars to buy oil anymore. If you're, India, and you want to buy oil from Saudi Arabia, you can now use rupees or silver or gold or corn or whatever they grow in India to buy it from Saudi Arabia. India does not have to buy it with dollars anymore.
Well, I guess to think about it that way,
that's the
thankfully,
key.
Some of us live in Southern Oregon, and they have this green stuff that everybody loves. So
yeah, that'll be nice, but that'll work for trading, but you're not going to be able to buy gasoline that way.
But right, that's the point. When the dollar collapses, if you don't have things to barter, you're SOL. Bullets, guns. I mean, things people need: food, water. Sometimes there's drifters too that just want to stay a night somewhere and have a good meal for once, which would then put us at second or third world. I mean, this is the change that Obama was talking about. He was going to bring us down to the level of the rest of the world. Well, what was the rest of the world that he saw? It was Indonesia. It was Kenya, where there is no middle class. You are poor and you are on top. And
but I think by focusing on Obama, it'd be the same thing as like going to Bob's Big Boy and getting a really, really crappy hamburger and going out and yelling at the statue in the front. I think that's the way.
I can agree with you on that. I'm not yelling at Obama.
He's
I'm
just
not yelling just at Obama, but he was a good pick because he's seen those. That was what I was trying to establish. If you didn't actually catch that, I was trying to establish the fact that this is the world he's seen, so he has no problem being the poster boy that takes down the American. I think spoiledness.
The position of president is really it's a paid and interviewed position. It's not something that the people elect. So he's just an employee. Really, where the problem is who's making these laws. And I'm going to say something that may be fairly controversial, but in the United States, we've got people that have a get-out-of-jail-free card making laws for us. And by get-out-of-jail-free card, I mean they have the right to leave this country and go be citizens of another country while they're making laws here. I mean, if for nothing else, that's fairly uncommon in the rest of the world. Yes, it is.
Well, I've got to clock out. I've got another show to do after this, and I will be back. But I got some kiddos to get fed real quick, and I've got a bathroom break to take. Thank you, Dave. Honestly, it's been really nice talking to you. Zombie, add me. Definitely. You guys have a great time.
Yes, we will.
Hear you, or you will hear me in a little bit.
All right, we will. So,
Dave Scaldi.
Let me introduce myself. My name is David Everest. They call me Miner Dave.
Hey, my name is Michael.
Hi, Michael. I've been enjoying what you've had to say. It's just perspective. I'm 54. I remember when gas was 32.9. So,
right. But let me take that into issue right there. Gas was 32.9, but that was 32 cents of real money.
32 cents of real money, yes. Because back then, you had a lot of coins circulating that we don't have now, and they were made of real materials. Either they were copper or nickel. There was a lot of silver change that floated around. I used to collect it, and it kind of got stolen from me. But like people like Kobe and younger don't have a concept of what it used to be like for us. You know, where I was raised at, we only had 2 TV channels. We got a third one. It was called PBS. And so most of the time, who watched TV was only when they put on a good movie, and they rarely did that. So mostly, I would be going out fishing and giving the fish away to somebody that eat it because I was allergic to it. But I liked catching it. Well, if a kid went out fishing now, he'd probably be arrested. You got that one?
I totally agree with you. And I'd almost hate to say, I mean, I live in a more rural area, so kids still do go fishing here, but you go 40 miles upland, and kids would not go fishing because there's no Wi-Fi.
There's no Wi-Fi, yeah. By the way, there's lots of Wi-Fi around here. It's in places you would not believe it. You would find it, and it's cable.
Yeah, no. Well, it's fairly sparse down here. I mean, I'm fairly rural. You know, I'm Gulf Coast of Texas, and it's a fairly
I'm from a very rural place. It's just that Oregon got a bunch of grants to put it up.
Well, I'll tell you what. I live in Ron Paul's district.
Whoa!
And everybody else has nice stuff. My area sucks.
Yeah.
My area got none of the graft, none of the pork barrel, none of that.
Yeah, right.
So this is like Mayberry if you take away Aunt B and the bean pies and you add T-Mobile phones and methamphetamine.
Yeah, you this used to be like that many years ago. It's not that way now. In fact, I hadn't been at my family home until recently when I'm caretaking it now, and my dad's put it in a trust and given it to me and 2 other brothers, and they voted to sell it. So I'm just sitting here making sure the drunks don't burn it down, or the meth head that lives down the road. This is still rural, but it's not as rural as it used to be. It's on the borderline.
Right. And we see the explosion of drugs that's coming in. That's obviously helped by government.
The CIA.
Yeah, government interference. I mean, just the fact that there can't be a real study on cannabis.
Right.
Shows complicity and a serious problem. I mean, we do the Fast and Furious thing. That's the tip of the barrel. I mean, how many planes have crashed in Mexico that have, CIA charters and they've only flown for CIA, full of cocaine? How many? Scare the average person if they knew it.
Out at my mining claim, I know a guy out there. I won't say his name, but he used to fly for Air America, and he never talked about it, but he's like you want to keep one eye on him on your back when you're walking by, and he's giving you a ride. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Around here, there's a lot of ex-military that is retired and all kinds of things. You would be surprised how much around here, because it's a quiet place, and it's a place for them to unwind and not have to worry about too much, right? So there's a lot of ex-military here, a lot of ex-Vietnam vets. We got the VA out here in White City, and by the way, White City, they call it White City, but it used to be called White Camp, because during World War II, it was they had 500,000 soldiers here, training them, the 101st and the the 82nd Airborne trained out here, and then they made it a prisoner of war camp after they pulled out and went overseas. And so they used the Navy used Table Rock. We got a mountain out here, 2 of them, called Table Rocks. They used them for Navy pilots to practice like they were taking off aircraft carriers. And so this is a very unique place, and it's always been an odd place, but I love it. It's my home.
Well, and that's what I think is important, is people have to realize that this is their homes. Everywhere where we live is our home. And the idea of a bug out or something like that I think is misplaced.
It's misplaced.
This is your home. You stand for it. It's your home.
Right. I wouldn't consider going anywhere. Now, I'm not a native of Oregon. I was born in Hawthorne, California. At age 9, I moved to Oregon with my parents. But she was talking about, the lady earlier was talking about getting, hit. And there's what that I wanted to say, but I wasn't on the air. I would have loved to say to her, that's crowd mentality. And when I was 5 years old, God bless Rosie Greer, my dad was working on his transmission in his vehicle, and this Buick dealership was in Watts. And I seen Rosie Greer. He picked me up. He carried me for a little while. I was only 5. And but then he handed me off to this other guy. I don't remember his name, but he was a famous trumpet player. And he took his rubber bat and cleared the way to get us white people out of Watts, because it wasn't safe, not even for a 5-year-old. And so it's just, you get the crowd mentality. It breeds more violence because then people retaliate, and then you end up in these cycles of violence, and nobody really knows what it was started over.
Unfortunately, I think the violence at this point is unavoidable.
I think it's
because people.
That's why you shouldn't.
People have been complacent too long, and there's got to be a reason to use all this equipment that's out there.
Right. You don't want to give the government an excuse to move the military in and shut everything down.
And really, it doesn't behoove the government to fight us. It behooves the government to come in and control a fight between us.
That's right. That's a setup. You get your 2 enemies to fight, and then you come in, and then you're the savior.
You come in and pick up the pieces.
Yeah, and the people that create the problems are not the ones to ask to solve them.
It's pressure from the top and pressure from the bottom, and the middle gets squeezed. And that's just how George Soros said he does it.
Yeah, they all said it. It's no secret any longer.
No, it's no secret.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much aware now, and if we're not, it should be. I don't think anybody be listening wouldn't be, but yeah. So let's do what we can, positive, and sometimes instead of a protest, doing something positive, like Drew coming up next, doing aquaponics, creating your own food, or at least producing your own food. Lots of good things that we can do. Build alternative power sources, withdraw from the grid. I'd like to thank everybody for coming on. Patty, Colby, David, Hambone, Michael from Primer Time, right on. Dylan, and everybody for listening. I really appreciate it. A remembering shout out for at last Phyllis Sinclair, and now coming up, Ja's going to rock us out. Stay tuned for Double Crossed Radio. Drew David, Chuck, Colby, and Jordan Page says, listen to this message of freedom coming from the Republic of Jefferson. Again, love and peace. Do what you can. Make a difference. And, hey, let's realize that we all need dialogue. We all think differently. So let's have a little respect and some conversation. And let's not be knocking each other down, but I try to give somebody a hand up. Thanks, everybody in chat. Yeah, that's probably a big reason why we do this, is because we know that there's somebody out there listening and taking part, or else we'd be talking to ourselves, right? So, hey, say bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Right on. Hey, there's Kobe. The place, y'all. We out.
USA is crumbling, y'all sit back, dumb as shit. The mass invasion, the home invasions, the CPS is coming to snatch your babies. These confiscations, the conversations, they're operating within the zones we're trading. We're in the matrix, now we're totally raided. They infiltrated, finally the devil gave in. If you can't hear me, then pump up the volume. McDonald, Bin Laden, Osama, Obama, bring up something real, legalize marijuana. Everything on a bong hit is as blonde as Madonna. Radioactive, intergalactic, counterattacking.